Hi guys, it's Aura from CBeyond Magazine, and this time I'm having the pleasure of interviewing Dr. Dain Heer, who actually he joined us all the way from Texas. Finally, we got him in the United States because he's constantly traveling. Hi Dain.
Hi Aura, how are you?
I'm doing very well. It's so nice seeing you and having you with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Dr. Dain Heer, actually, he is an amazing international speaker. He is author of 10 books. He is the co-creator of Access Consciousness. That is actually a program right now in 173 countries, right? And has helped hundreds of thousands of people. And he is here with us for Experts Corner. So thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Dain, CBeyond Magazine was born out of the desire to help teens, young minds, and young at heart adults to really see beyond a drawback, a hump in the road. In 2011, you wrote the book, Being You, Changing the World. And that book literally helped the life of so many people all around the world because it was published and translated in very many different languages.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. So Dain, I would like to know, how did you find out who you truly were before the world has told you what to become?
Well, that's a great question. I think, I would say all of us, I think, have a sense of who we are, and then we grew up in this world, in this reality where we're told that we can't know things. We have to learn things. We have to do things the way other people want us to do them. And yet, if you look back, there are certain pivotal times in your life or certain crux points in your life where you actually had an awareness of what is true for you. And for me, I look back and there are times where I saw that I chose something different than other people would choose. There are times where I saw where I would choose something that was kinder than other people would choose, or where I would look at possibilities where everybody else was looking at the trauma and drama or the wrongness of a particular situation. So those are indications to me of when I was actually being me. And one of the tools I like to share with people is what's true for you always makes you lighter. A lie always makes you heavier. And so anytime you're having that sense of lightness, that's when you're actually being you. And for me, it took me getting to a place 17 years ago where I wanted to end my life. I didn't want to be here anymore. And I had tried every tool I could find, every self-help modality I could find. I was reading books on psychology, metaphysics, self-help, swirl the purple light around your butt and out your head, and, all this sort of stuff. And none of it was working. It's like if I found happiness, it lasted for about 3 days. And finally, after about 3 years of being so depressed, I wanted to kill myself. I literally said, universe, look, that's it. I am tired of trying. I'm tired of struggling. Like, you have 6 months. Either my life changes or I'm out of here. And literally a week later, I saw an ad for something called Access Consciousness that I'd never heard of before that. I went and I had one session, and it felt like somebody poured liquid light, love, and peace into my body. And I was like, what happened? And I walked in depressed, wanting to kill myself. I walked out looking up at the sky going, has it always been this beautiful? And I'll never forget that moment. And that was one of the things that gave me an awareness of what it was truly like to be me, especially after these years of sadness and depression. And so it's like, I think sometimes what it takes is us going through this dark night of the soul to get to what is actually true for us, because until then, we're buying so many points of view from everybody else about who we are, about what is right, about what is wrong, and mostly, unfortunately, judging ourselves as wrong. We very seldom look at ourselves and go, wow, I'm right. We usually go, well, I'm wrong. And that's a nail in your coffin every time you do that, and it's a lie.
Well, you are a chiropractor by formation, but being in one of your classes, I noticed that you don't work on people, you work with people, which is a huge difference. So do you think that you found this calling, or this calling found you?
Yes. It's really, I really would say there's a sense in which the calling found me. However, I know I found it also. I was asking for something different. I was demanding something different. But the key and crucial element that I'd like people to get is I was also willing to receive something different. I wasn't sitting in my life just complaining, although I did a lot of complaining at the time. I don't do that very much anymore. But, you know, I wasn't just sitting there complaining, not willing to have something different. I was sitting there going, this sucks. I need something different, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes if that different thing shows up. Little did I know that this different thing called access consciousness would show up 17 years ago. And to say it's a calling would definitely be an accurate statement. And it found me, I found it. And I think my sense is that's the way it actually does work for us, because, you know, the saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Well, you know, it's like when the seeker is ready, the calling appears, and it's only when you're ready. So, and I know it's, my personal belief or point of view or awareness after having worked with hundreds of thousands of people around the world at this point is that there is not just one thing, but there's a way of approaching the world, if you will, that has many different aspects to it. That is, if you want to call it a calling or I don't know, a way of being that everybody has available. And I don't know that it is just one thing necessarily for most people that they'll find that they do, but it's available for all of us. Just please never quit, never give up, and never give in. Keep going until you find it.
That's beautiful. You always talk about choice, that we always have a choice. Do you really think that some of us are actually deciding not to make the right choices?
Oh, absolutely. And absolutely. And the thing is, we all have choice. It is the one thing we all have. And it is the one thing that will change our entire worlds, our entire lives, our entire realities, and will actually create change in the world. But we keep acting as though we don't have choice because we look at our lives and go, well, I wouldn't choose this. This is crucial, because we, in looking at the idea that we haven't chosen what's in front of us on some level, and getting to that level sometimes takes a bit of work, but we choose things not cognitively most of the time. And this is what sticks to us, because we think that our choices are, I am going to choose this now. I am going to choose a new car. I'm going to choose a new school. That's not the way choice works. Choice works on this energetic level where there are energies you gravitate toward, there are energies you gravitate away from, and those choices that we have in front of us today are based on the choices we've made in the past, or the choices that we've chosen to try to not make in the past. And so choice, we all have choice, but choice isn't what we think it is. And I think this is one of the things that sticks us a lot. And if we would recognize that truly what we have today is a result of our choices from the past, if we really get that, and if we really get that, then we also, by extension, realize if I would like a different future, then it's my choice to create that future. Because there's only one person with enough power to stop you. And we all know who that is. That's you, okay? And at the same time, there's only one person with enough power to change what goes on in your life so something different shows up. That person is also you. But having said that, one of the biggest things that seems to be missing from my personal point of view, and having researched this with, once again, myself, but also hundreds of thousands of people, is that we don't have the tools to actually choose according to what's true for us. We're so busy picking up everybody else's point of view and trying to make it right for other people, and trying to make them not feel wrong, and trying to make them happy when they're sad, and trying to take away their dysfunction, and trying to take away their sadness, and trying to take, it's really exhausting after a while. So what we really require is the tools to recognize what we would like to choose, and the tools to sort of smooth out the waters, so we're not continuously going from one choppy wave to another in our lives.
How late is it to make a U-turn?
Never too late.
Your life.
Never too late. Never too late. Never too late. Let me give you an example. There was a lady, a friend of mine. I was actually being interviewed in Israel. This lady came over. She interviewed me for one of the largest health magazines over there in Israel. And we had about an hour-long interview. And I gave her some of the tools of access consciousness, just some really simple stuff. And and she took it home and used it. And she was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how well this stuff has worked for me. And she said, and I had given her the Being You Changing the World book that I wrote in 2011, like you said. And she ended up buying several copies to give out to people. Well, she volunteered at a cancer hospice, or a cancer hospital actually. And she left the book there one day when she was volunteering. This lady picks it up who's got terminal cancer. Okay. She literally had supposedly about 3 weeks to live. She picks up the book because she's bored, starts reading it, and she's like, and she came in the next day, and the nurses were like, what did you do last night? And she's like, well, I read this book. She's like, and it's amazing. And she said, you know what? She's like, and I got to tell you, this sweet lady, she sent this lady, because she speaks Hebrew. Okay. So she sent this lady a message in Hebrew to translate for me. And it said, Dr. Dain, I want to say thank you so much for writing this book. My entire life on this planet, I have felt like I didn't fit in, and I was wrong for being. After reading your book, I am no longer wrong. And she says, I don't know how many days I have left on this planet, but I'm going to live them being me. Well, she was given a prognosis of 3 weeks to live, and she lived for another 6 months. But
because one book, the message,
because of, yeah,
the
and because of, and the acknowledgement of being that's in it, like you say, the message, but also the energy that's in it. And so, you ask, is it ever too late to make a U-turn? I'd say, hell no. And also, looking at that, you go, well, yeah, but she didn't choose to stay alive. I'm like, yeah, but whatever her next lifetime is going to be, it's going to be totally different. Whatever occurs for this being after this is going to be totally different. And that's the thing that, if we could get it, would change our whole worlds, because any choice you make today that creates a greater tomorrow, whatever that tomorrow is going to be, changes your entire future. So it's not as difficult as we think it is. We think we have to make all these choices to change everything right now, otherwise nothing is worthwhile and nothing happened. Except no, it's one choice. All you got to do is make one choice today that makes today and tomorrow a little bit brighter, and then make another one tomorrow, because you're already starting a little brighter, and then another one after that, and another one the next day, and another one after that. And pretty soon, within days of making choices like this, it's like your world is brighter already. It's not nearly as difficult as people have made it.
So you remember probably when you were once maybe down on your knees, metaphorically speaking, okay? And you didn't really know how to pick yourself up, and you still did it. What motivated you? Where did you find that motivation? Because I really believe in nowadays society, when we have teenagers who are constantly looking for models, and unfortunately they are influenced by the media, but how they should look, and keeping up with the Kardashians, and here's Paris Hilton. It's like, how do you really find the right model that you can take and apply to your own life? Where did you find that?
Well, for me, I didn't really have any. I didn't have anybody in my life that I could actually look up to. And so many of the quote unquote famous people I looked up to they didn't really have a sense of a largeness of being, which is what I was looking for. And I never found it. And I mean, I spent a lot of my life metaphorically on my knees, and so, which is why for me, what I talk to people about is actually getting in touch with whatever it is that's actually them. And, you could say, how did I pick myself up, or why? It's because I'm that kind of person. I will always pick myself up. I never quit. I never give up. I never give in. That's just who I am now. Now, it's taken me years to recognize this. If I had been taught that as a kid, that that's actually who I was, I would have looked at things totally differently. I would not have gone into them thinking, oh, I'm probably going to fail at this too. I would have gone, hey, I'm going to do this. And no matter how it turns out, I'm going to take the next step and the next step and the next step. So this is something when I work with people that I acknowledge in them. I'm like, look at this. Let's look at some situations in your life where you actually picked yourself up and continued. I was working with a guy today who's in his, 30s, 40s. And when he was 13, he's a Jewish kid who went to an all Catholic high school. And I mean, And the kid, I mean, he's such a sweet man. He's a beautiful guy. And he had so much trauma over that, but he picked himself up and he went back day after day after day after day, even though he was bullied, even though he was made fun of, even though he was told he was wrong for being Jewish and basically wrong for existing, but he did it every single day. And I'm like, my friend, if you can do this, there is nothing that can stop you. And he got it. And he looked at that and went, wow, I'm actually something that's different than what I thought I was. And I think my sense also is this is another thing that we have to give people is the awareness. You're not what you think you are. You're not who you think you are. And you're not what you've been judging yourself to be. So if you were to take a moment right now and ask to perceive the being that you were before you came into this body, just take a few seconds and go, okay, I'd like to, oh, whoa. Now, that's the being that you are. What is it that would limit that being? Nothing except buying this reality and its stupidity and its judgments. And let's face it, judgment is stupid. When I say it's stupid, it's only because it's stupid. In other words, us judging us buying other people's judgments of us judging other people is one of the unkindest things we can do to ourselves. And every judgment is a lie. So it's time for us to stop buying the lies that we buy and actually recognize that there's something within us that actually has a kindness to it, that has a greatness to it, that is a gift, and it's just who we are.
That's so beautiful. You have this program which it's called the energetic synthesis of being. What exactly is that program all about? You have the specialty courses, you have signature courses. Can you tell me more about this one?
Yeah, what this is about is, see, as you pointed out, I was a chiropractor when I started Access Consciousness. And, just prior to that, I wanted to kill myself. Here I'm a chiropractor trying to help people and, just wanting to die. No big deal. I'm sure I was a highly effective doctor. I'm sure I was great at what I was doing. But what happened was I had always known there was something different possible. And, when you said what kept me going, that's actually what kept me going. That I had always known. I always knew there had to be something different. There had to be something greater than this. My point of view always was, if this is all there is, why am I here? Well, I've since found there's definitely something greater than this or than what I was living. And so I want people to know that. Sorry, I talk a lot. I apologize. And I have ADD, ADHD, OCD, and autism all rolled into one. So bright, shiny things are in my head all the time to say. So this ESB, energetic synthesis of being, is actually what happened was after I had come to Access and I did one of the first classes, the founder of Access, his name is Gary Douglas. He happened to live in Santa Barbara where I was living at the time. And it happened to be his stepdaughter that was the one that did the first session with me. And it was something called Access Consciousness Bars that she did that literally saved my life in one session. And so after doing the first class, he wanted to come in and be treated by me as a chiropractor. And so he came in and I was doing network chiropractic. There are 3 levels of care. And he said, look, the first 2 don't work on me. You need to go straight to the 3rd level. And in my head, I'm going, oh my God, I don't know how to do the 3rd level because I literally hadn't even started it. And he said to me, look, ask my body what it wants, follow the energy, you will know what to do. Now, I had done all kinds of seminars. I had gone to all kinds and done all kinds of chiropractic techniques and all kinds of self-help techniques. And he was the first person in any of this that said, I would know what to do. And for a moment I went, no. And then I went, oh my God, yeah, because it made me so light when he said it. Well, as I started working on him, I was just going to do my chiropractic thing, I thought. But I said, okay, if I know what to do, let me just be here different with this. Let me see what different shows up. And in that moment, there was this energy that flooded through my body. And it was like, I can't even begin to describe it, but it felt like being connected to all the circuits of the universe. I was like, whoa. And it felt like it had this sense of peace and space and gentleness to it, but also this awareness that anything was changeable. And I never experienced this before. And so I'm working on him. And at one point I'm standing 15 feet away from him and he's lying face down on the table. And I'm standing 15 feet away with my hand in the air doing this. And he is flopping on the table like a fish. And I am looking at him. I'm like, I'm the most surprised person in the room. There's two of us in the room, and I got to be the most surprised one, I'm telling you. And I look at my hand, I'm like, have you always been able to do this? You know? And so this energy started coming through, and I started working on people more with energy than with physical touch. And things started changing miraculously. Like people would say, oh, I had this pain for 25 years, and after this session, it was gone. I'm like, what? How does this happen? I have no idea. But I started realizing I could tap into that energy at any time. And then I started teaching other people how they could tap into their version of it. And this energetic synthesis of being was born. And I called it that because, well, number one, nobody knows what the heck energetic synthesis of being is, so they can't define it, which means they can't limit it. And number two, it has this effect of taking all the parts of your being that you've left behind and all the places you're not connected to your body and where your being's not connected, and changing that so you just have the peace and the space of being connected with your body and your being all at the same time. And so that's where this came from. Well, out of that, actually, out of transcripts from those classes, the Being You Changing the World book was written.
Yeah.
And so now there's this way to access it, not only through the book, but also through the classes. There's, Being You Changing the World classes and like intros and that sort of thing that are available. But what it does is it gives you this space to be, this awareness also that it's not wrong to be, and this sense of, you know what, it's actually cool to be me. And we can talk about all the tools and we can have conversations for hours about different things and talk about things. But what all of this for me really boils down to is the quality of your life and living. How do you get to wake up every day? Do you get to wake up looking forward to your life and enjoying it, or do you wake up dreading it? And, you mentioned the teenagers of the world. And as we all know, teen suicide rates have skyrocketed in the last 15 years. But if you look at that, it makes sense because let's say back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, till we got to about 2000, it's like people actually look forward to the future. There was a sense of having a future. And ever since 2000, all there has been is, okay, the earth is dying, people are dying. And so there's, for the first time in history, kids started not believing in a future, believing that they had one. And then they think that their only way to actually create a future is to be rich and famous like the Kardashians. It's like, I'm sorry, I wouldn't want to be a Kardashian. Are you kidding? Would you want to live that life? I mean, seriously? I mean, come on. Not knocking the Kardashians, except I wouldn't want to be one. I love you. I adore you. And no way in hell I would want your life. I would much rather have mine. Now, I say that because I tend to wake up happy and I don't do trauma and drama. I mean, seriously, trauma and drama over the fact that your dress ripped, trauma and drama over the fact that your butt is getting bigger. Seriously, this is what we're going to focus our attention on? Anyway, that may be an interesting point of view, But so what this is about is actually getting to the place again where we actually look forward to the future because we recognize that we can create a different future. And if enough of us get that and actually start to recognize that and start to embrace that, we together as a world create a different future. And what I would like to also see is the separation end in this world. There's no reason to separate from anybody based on anything. And yet that's what this world seems to be bent on right now. And so Being You Changing the World truly is about you getting to be the gift that you are and recognizing and having the awareness that it changes people around you for the greater. It makes their lives a greater space. And that's just by being you, not trying to do something different.
So if you were right now to be right out of college, what would be the first class that you would take with yourself?
Truly, it would be Being You Changing the World. I would take the 3.5-day class. Now, having said that, a lot of kids in college come out with debt. They don't have very much money, all that sort of stuff. So it's like, I've got over 300 videos on YouTube of different tools. It's, it's youtube.com/Dr. Dain Heer, spelled in the weird way that my name is spelled. And if you go to my website, it's like, there's a free video course there. It's the Being You course, which has a lot of the basic access tools. And so it's like, so that would be my suggestion. And also the bars class, the class where you learn to do this process called access consciousness bars. And we just had a study done on it, and it literally changes your brain waves for the greater, gives you a greater sense of peace, greater connection to the universe, just based on your brain waves. And so those are two places that I would start. But also it's like, you know, if finances are a problem, it's like, get the friggin' book. There's so much in there that can contribute to you. And also the other thing is, you know, look at whatever resources are available. It's like, for me, I don't care if somebody comes and does a class with me or does access consciousness. I just know it's a really fast path to change because of the way we look at things and the tools we have available. But whatever it is for you that's going to bring you joy, that's going to create the change, you'll know what's true for you always makes you lighter. A lie always makes you heavier.
Well, thank you so much for being you and for being with us actually today, you know, for See Beyond Magazine. It's such a pleasure having you. And once again, you know, we hope to see you in person in one of your courses. Definitely Being You, Changing the World. It's an amazing book that I think that everybody should read. Thank you so much, Dr. Dain.
Thank you so much, Aura. And thank you guys for what you're doing for the young at heart in the world.
Thank you. Such a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.